What if the dark chocolate you're eating is slowly poisoning you? Consumer Reports tested 28 dark chocolate bars in 2022. Every single one contained lead and cadmium. Not some, every one. And 23 of those bars had levels so high that eating just 1 ounce a day would push you past what health experts consider safe. That's not a fringe study. That's mainstream testing on mainstream chocolate bars. But heavy metals are only the beginning. The chocolate industry has been quietly swapping real ingredients for cheaper alternatives for years. Most consumers have no idea. Companies are replacing cocoa butter with synthetic emulsifiers, labeling fake chocolate as real chocolate, and breaking the same child labor promises they've been making since 2001. In 2024, cocoa prices hit $13,000 per metric ton, 3 times the previous year's average. That price spike didn't slow the industry down. It gave them an excuse to cut even harder. Today, we're going through 5 chocolate brands you need to stop buying, and 2 that are actually worth your money. Before I show you the brands, you need 3 things explained. First, real chocolate is made with cocoa butter. It's expensive. So manufacturers replace it with PGPR, which is polyglycerol polyricinoleate. It's a synthetic emulsifier. It thins the chocolate so companies can use less cocoa butter and more cheap filler while keeping the same texture. You can't taste the difference. That's the point. When a label says chocolate candy instead of chocolate, that's not marketing language. It's a legal distinction. Real chocolate must contain cocoa butter. Remove it, and the law won't let you call it chocolate anymore. Then there's the metal problem. Lead gets into chocolate after harvest. Cacao beans dry in the sun. They attract dust and dirt particles containing lead. Those particles bind to the bean and get processed into your chocolate. Cadmium is worse. It's absorbed directly from the soil while the tree is still growing. By harvest, it's already inside the bean. Here's the part that surprises people. The higher the cacao percentage, the more cadmium you're consuming. That expensive 85% dark bar is probably the most contaminated thing in your pantry, and organic certification doesn't fix either problem. The contamination happens before and after the farm. The label doesn't protect you. But that's not all. Labor might be the biggest problem. In 2001, the major chocolate companies signed the Harkin-Nenyel Protocol. They pledged to eliminate child labor from their supply chains by 2005. That deadline passed, and then they moved it to 2008, then 2010, then 2020, now 2025. The most recent University of Chicago study found 1.56 million children currently harvesting cocoa in Cape Devera and Ghana. 95% of them are doing hazardous work. Terry Killingsworth, who has been suing these companies for decades, said it plainly. They will never stop until they are forced to. Now here are the 5 brands that represent everything wrong with this industry. Number 5. Hershey's. We're starting off the list with a brand everyone knows, and it's Hershey's. Hershey's is America's most recognized chocolate brand. That recognition is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Check the ingredient list on a standard Hershey's milk chocolate bar. You'll find PGPR chemicals. In 2015, Hershey's announced they were removing it. They promised higher amounts of real cocoa butter. They called it a multi-year plan. That was almost a decade ago. PGPR is still in the bar. The plan was quietly dropped when cocoa butter prices made the switch too expensive. They made the announcement. They got the press. They kept the cheap ingredient. In February 2026, Brad Reese, grandson of the founder of Reese's, published an open letter calling out Hershey directly. Some Reese's products now use chocolate candy, coating, and peanut butter cream instead of real chocolate and actual peanut butter. That's not an accident. That's a legal workaround. Real ingredients got replaced. The packaging stayed the same. Hershey's Special Dark was among the bars flagged in Consumer Reports, testing for elevated lead and cadmium levels above what health experts consider safe for daily consumption, a company that breaks its own public commitments, downgrades its ingredients without telling consumers, and sells products with heavy metal levels above safety thresholds is not a company earning your trust. If you've eaten a Hershey's bar in the last month, drop a comment in the comments. I want to see how many people this is reaching. Number 4. R.M. Palmer. R.M. Palmer makes the chocolate you grew up finding in Easter baskets and Valentine's boxes, except it isn't chocolate. Palmer calls their products chocolatey. That word is deliberate. They cannot legally call it chocolate because it doesn't meet the definition. Their most iconic seasonal candies contain exactly one cocoa-derived ingredient, cocoa processed with alkali. Everything else is vanillin, an artificial flavoring, and hydrogenated vegetable oil. No cocoa butter, no real chocolate, just a brown coating designed to taste like the real thing. In 2023, R.M. Palmer's Pennsylvania factory exploded after workers reported smelling natural gas. Management had been warned, the warnings were ignored. 7 people died. The company filed for bankruptcy shortly after and shut down operations entirely. The brand that sold fake chocolate couldn't even maintain basic safety standards for the people making it. Number 3. Godiva Chocolate Bars. Godiva sells itself as luxury chocolate. The gold box, the Belgian heritage, the premium positioning. Then you read the ingredient list. Corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup, partially hydrogenated palm kernel oil, carrageenan dipotassium phosphate, artificial dyes vanillin instead of real vanilla, soy lecithin. This is not the ingredient list of a craft chocolate maker. It's the ingredient list of a mass-produced industrial product in an expensive wrapper. For what Godiva charges, you're getting a significant amount of processed filler dressed up as European luxury. The branding is doing the work that the ingredients are not. Moving on to number 2, Lindt. Lindt is the brand people buy when they want to seem like they care about quality. Among serious chocolate consumers, it has a different reputation entirely. Check any standard Lindt bar. Sugar is the first ingredient listed. That means by weight. There is more sugar in that bar than anything else, including cocoa. A product where sugar outweighs cocoa is candy. It is not serious chocolate. In Consumer Reports 2022 testing, Lindt dark chocolate bars showed lead and cadmium levels above what's permitted in California under Proposition 65. For a brand marketing itself on quality and Swiss precision, failing basic safety thresholds in independent testing is a significant problem. Among chocolate connoisseurs, Lindt is considered overpriced sugar with a fancy wrapper. The lab data backs that assessment up. Now, to number 1. Theo Chocolate. Theo is the brand health-conscious consumers reach for. Organic certification, fair trade claims, Seattle-based craft positioning. It checks every box people are told to look for. That's exactly why it earns the number 1 spot. Theo Chocolate showed elevated heavy metal levels in independent testing despite its organic certification. This is the most important thing in this entire video. Organic farming cannot prevent lead contamination. Lead attaches to beans after harvest during sun-drying. Organic certification covers farming practices. It does not cover post-harvest processing environments. Organic farming cannot prevent cadmium contamination either. Cadmium absorbs from the soil into the tree itself. By harvest, it's already inside the bean. Certification doesn't remove it. The organic label gives consumers a false sense of safety. People pay a significant premium for Theo believing they're getting a cleaner product. The heavy metal data says otherwise. This isn't a criticism of organic farming, it's a warning about what the label can and cannot guarantee. And in chocolate specifically, it cannot guarantee what most people assume it does. Now that we have seen all the bad brands, let's have a look at the 2 best brands. Brand number 1, Ghirardelli Chocolate. Ghirardelli is the most important name in this entire video for American consumers. In Consumer Reports testing, Ghirardelli's intense dark bars, both the 72% and 86% cacao versions, came in well below concerning levels for lead and cadmium. In an industry where 23 out of 28 bars failed safety thresholds, this result is exceptional. Ghirardelli does not use PGPR in their formulations. When you buy a Ghirardelli bar, you are getting real chocolate made with real cocoa butter, not a synthetic emulsifier standing in for the real thing. For a widely available mass-market chocolate brand, that combination with clean heavy metal results and no ingredient substitution makes them the standout recommendation for everyday American chocolate buying. Now, to brand number 2, Tony's Chocolate. Tony's Chocolonely has one of the most unusual origin stories in the food industry. Dutch investigative journalist Toyn van de Koekan spent years trying to expose child labor in chocolate. He got so frustrated by the lack of accountability that he ate chocolate on camera and then turned himself in to police as an accessory to child slavery. No charges were filed. But the publicity launched a mission. He founded Tony's in 2005 specifically to prove ethical chocolate at scale was possible. The 2025 Global Chocolate Scorecard ranked Tony's as the most ethical and sustainable large-scale chocolate company in the world. They have boosted cocoa farmer income by 51% in Côte d'Ivoire through direct partnerships and transparent pricing. The bar's unequal piece sizes aren't random. They represent the inequalities still built into the chocolate industry. Some watchdog groups argue their consumer-facing claims don't fully match their supply chain impact yet. They remain excluded from certain ethical chocolate lists until more documented progress is made. Tony's acknowledges they're not finished. That honesty alone separates them from companies that have been making the same broken promises since 2001. The chocolate industry has been running the same playbook for decades. Replace real ingredients with cheaper ones. Slap a premium label on the outside, make promises about ethics that never get kept, and count on consumers not reading past the front of the wrapper. Hershey's promised to remove PGPR in 2015. It's still there. Palmer sold fake chocolate and ignored gas leak warnings until 7 people died. Godiva charges luxury prices for an industrial ingredient list. Lindt puts sugar first and still fails heavy metal testing. And Theo built an entire health-conscious brand on an organic label that can't actually prevent the contamination people are trying to avoid. Meanwhile, 1.56 million children are still harvesting cocoa, and the deadline to stop that has been moved 4 times. Ghirardelli and Tony's prove the alternative exists. One tests clean across the board and uses real ingredients. The other pays farmers fairly and publishes the numbers. Neither is perfect, but in an industry built on substitution, broken promises, and contaminated supply chains, doing the right thing actually stands out. Next time you're in the chocolate aisle, you'll know exactly what you're picking up and exactly what to put back.